Narendra is the chief designer at Tata ELXSI, and he leads a team of over 100 designers and delivers design projects in UX, service design, and consumer research. His projects include consumer products, B2B products, and automotive products, including mobile responsive, TV, cars, appliances, AR, immersive, and PC. All projects have significant design overlaps with development, including projects done in agile environments. Service design projects focus on spaces and processes, and his projects range from trend prediction to ethnographic research in various geographies and for various industries. Research component is present for most of the UX and service design projects. Narendra has spent multiple years working on site in Europe, USA, and Japan. His topic for today's talk is Design to Inspire. Welcome, Narendra, and over to you for today's session.
Hey, hi there. So thank you very much. And I think that was a very generous introduction. So let me do one thing. Let me share my screen so that we can get started. Hi. I hope you can see the text and the slides, and then we can go, right? So what I want to do, So what I want to do today is essentially there is two parts in this little talk that I have. One is a little bit about, let's say, partly my journey as a student, which I think will be parallel to what you all will be experiencing. And I thought, maybe let me show you stuff that I learned, which I think you should take advantage of, or something that I missed that you should learn from. And then I was asked specifically to, talk about automotive work. So I'll just, like you're saying, I've done multiple kinds of projects, but let me focus only on the automotive side of things that I'm doing. So let me just start off, and that's me. I mean, that little guy in the white in the middle, and so I studied in IDC in IIT Bombay. So that is product design. That was in 97. I passed out. And last 23 years, I've been working in Tata ELXSI. So I'm a campus recruit from IIT Bombay, and I'm still here. So that way I'm one of the exceptions who has not really changed the job. And partly you'll see why, because I'll show you some of the great work that we do. But coming back to studying and coming back to IIT, or let's say in your case, Karnavati and UID, what you'll realize, and you'll realize it later, but you might as well know now, that those are the best years of your life. These are the best years of your life. This great time will never come back. I'm very sorry to say it that way, but so you might as well take full advantage of next years that you have. And you'll make best of friends now. The friends that I have, and some of these people in this photographs are very famous designers, leading large organizations. So, but when we meet, we meet as students, as friends, and they are someone that are with me for my life. I'm very grateful for that. And the friends that you'll make now in your next years in college are something that you should really cherish. So again, that is something that, I wish that you take up from here. You'll also meet best of the teachers, right? The teachers are also learning as they teach. And what you'll realize is that there are so many things that you can learn from them. In my case, I was very lucky. We had this very eclectic batch of teachers who were among the pioneers of design education in India. But it's not just the teachers. You learn from your seniors. You learn from the people around you, the staff in the colleges. All of them have something to teach. And the environment that we had in IDC, which I'm hoping you'll have and you'll create in UID, is we used to always raise our hand to keep helping somebody. I mean, whether it is a senior wants certain painting to be done, he wants us to go and get something so that he's fixing something in a ceramic studio, for example, or the professor wants us to help in his professional projects. Those are brilliant opportunities. So always, volunteer yourself and help to help others, and be a part of each other's projects. In my class, and there were just 16 of us, we knew each and every project of each and every person, and so we learned what we did by ourselves, but we learned much more because we knew what everybody else was doing. So that was learning multifold. I mean, this is, and again, you'll have the best of spaces, a beautiful environment, a beautiful, yeah, it's a bit of work from home currently, but soon it will be campus. And then you'll realize how spaces can inspire you to come with ideas. I mean, what you see on the right hand side is our classroom. And it is this kind of chaotic space that really allowed us to think complex things, allowed us to really come up with a lot of ideas. And it used to, we used to almost live over here, almost spend 20 hours in our studios, right? And again, now you will also get best of opportunities. I mean, these are some of the opportunities that came my way. And I'll tell you the story of this, the old Mac that you see on the left hand side. I mean, this was actually a photography assignment that I'd taken up. I mean, it was not part of my particular course on that year, but I just wanted to be in the photo studio and take photographs. And IDC or any design school being what it is, you just ask for it and you get it. So, I've started taking photos of a lot of objects. And I wanted to take photograph of the Mac. And these are very expensive equipment. I mean, this is 97, so there were hardly any in India. And IIT being what they are, they managed to get some of the first early machines. And the professor was okay, so I just picked it up, took it to the studio and took photographs. So this kind of freedom is what you'll get in your design college, where you don't have to be bound by assumptions that you cannot do this, you cannot do that. You can just the middle photograph is where we won a competition, and in an international competition, to go and present human factors in computer design. And there's a very beautiful project that we created. So that's my professor Ravi Puai, and that was somewhere in the US that we were celebrating after the winning. And again, right side is you can actually get your work published. Again, this is something very new to a young boy like me. And that's my father's handwriting, who very proudly sort of kept a snipping of it, and it's still there. So the point I'm trying to make is, these are the times when you will have great opportunity to learn, and you should make most of it. But this 23 years of graduating, that what I've realized is I learned unknowingly more than what I learned knowingly. And I'll tell you what I mean. I mean, even my professors, like, though they were great and they were teaching, but they did not really know what they were teaching beyond what they were teaching. For example, the way the professor will conduct himself, the way he will explain a very subjective term, the way he will talk about a particular story. Now, he might be focusing on talking about the content or teaching us on the things that he's talking about. But we were learning much more than that. We were learning about how he's conducting. We were learning how to command a presence. We were learning so many things. You walk, you spend time with your friends, you learn certain things. You look around, you learn certain things. So what you'll realize is there are many, many, many more things that you learn, unknowingly. And if you suddenly start creating a very narrow focus that I want to study and learn 1, 2, 3, 4 things and nothing else, because that is in my curriculum, that is what I'm going to get marks, that's what the teacher is asking for, then you'll miss a big opportunity. So keep yourself open so that you can keep learning more than what you even know that you have learned. Right. So in fact, that's this one slide I wanted to sort of create or make, which represents what I feel is an important part of all our life. We should keep learning new and new things, right? So with that, let's get back to my professional last so many years. Okay? And like I said, most of it is all over the place, right? From product design to space design, graphic design, animations, others. But let me show some of the automotive work that I've done over the years, and some of it has been done by my team. And there's certain great things that we feel we are doing, which I would like to show you. So initially, in my early years, I was what is called as an alias designer. I was somebody who was using Alias as a software to interpret and create automotive surfaces. So these are what is called as class A surfaces where anything in a car that you can see, that you can touch, whether it's a bonnet or a door handle, those are always done by designers, because those are sculptures, those are shapes that have to be done very, very beautifully. And my job in that time was a designer or an automotive designer would give me a sketch, and I would create a 3D model of that. In the night, there would be these huge milling machines that would mill out the clay. And in the morning, when everybody comes, they could see my shapes converted into clay, which was then getting compared to the sketches that were drawn, right? And the point I want to make, I mean, automotive design or automotive styling or car styling is amongst the highest art or highest skill level design job that is there. I mean, you have automotive styling on one end and you have maybe typography on the other. These are two really highly visually sensitive and difficult kind of domains. And I'll explain why. So in this case, the design director who was doing the sketches or would come and he would look and examine the 1:1 car. And these were like huge, clay models of full cars. And then with a tape drawing, which is like a thin tape that is put on the car surface, he will say that, reduce this particular surface by 3 mm, this particular one by 1.5 millimeter, and put a little groove here, it should stop over here. So he would sort of describe the vision of that he has of that shape of that car on the clay, and he would sort of mark out certain things. And then there would be a probe that would just pick up those points and give it to me. Now, for me, it's I was using a software. It was Alias, so it is quite easy for me to shift a few points 3 millimeters down, move something up by 2 millimeters, and really recreate this entire surface so that now it is slightly less tall. Let's say 3 millimeters less, right? Next day when he would come, he would notice and he would understand those 3 millimeters difference. Now imagine you standing in front of a car and are able to find differences that are 1 millimeters, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters in a 1:1 car. It is this kind of visual sensitivity that has to be developed for you to be a great automotive designer. And that is not easy. All of us, or maybe your nephews or your nieces, or mostly boys, 5-year-old boys, you would see a strange, and tell me if you have noticed this. This 5-year-old boy would see a car going by and just looking at his tail lamp or some small part would say, oh, that was a Hyundai i10, or that was some of the car. By seeing a small part of the car, he would be able to recognize the car. Most of us, unfortunately, even now, you have the whole car in front of you, but you might still have to read the label to realize that, oh, this is a Mahindra something, right? The point I'm trying to make is, over years, we start losing our visual acuity, visual sensitivity. We start not remembering shapes. We start not remembering what is the difference between the Mahindra Scorpio tail lamp from 5 years ago to, let's say, now to the new one. There will be small differences that we tend to miss. And as an automotive designer, that is the job. The job is to be visually so sensitive that you're able to understand changes, understand forms, understand how certain surfaces flow. You should be able to take inspiration from other places, other designs, and then know how to adopt it, know what. So a good automotive designer is very, very sensitive about this kind of volumes in front of me. So that's why it's almost like a sculpting, and that takes time to develop, and you have to keep sort of looking, keep sketching, keep sort of being yourself aware to be able to be a good, effective automotive designer. It is not enough to say that I can just sketch, right? One, of course, you should be able to sketch well. So these are unfortunately not sketched by me, but one of my team members. But the point I want to try and tell you is this. If I tell you, let's say I ask you, which is the car that you have? And let's say you say that I have a Hyundai i10, or if you have a Mahindra, or let's say a Skoda, right? If I tell you to sketch your own car, will you be able to sketch it? Will you be able to draw it precisely so that people will recognize that that is the car that you're talking about, right? When somebody is listening or learning to music, and he takes up a guitar and he plays a tune, whether he's playing the tune correctly or not. You instinctively know, right? Similarly, when somebody is looking at a sketch, you'll instinctively know ki yare ye to Mahindra thodi hai, right? So it is much more easier to appreciate a mistake or find out a mistake, and much harder to create something that is accurate. And a designer has to, especially a car designer, automotive designer, has to have so much of control on the way he thinks, the way he remembers shapes, and the way he translates that into curves and sketches, that he's able to draw that, right? So when he says that I've drawn this particular car, it is that car because that's the way he looks at it. And only after you reach that level can the design happen afterwards. So then when you have an assignment where you're trying to redesign the front bumper of a car because the rest of the metal cannot change, that's when you can actually draw the rest of the car still the way it is and start iterating into certain elements that can change. And then you can graduate to a level where you actually start thinking of great shapes and beautiful designs, again where the constraints are, let's say, the inside the hard points or the engine and the elements, right? So I have seen so many portfolios where there's a beautiful sketch, but that sketch is happenstance. It is like, "Are aa gaya mast, chalo," or maybe you can, it's those fancy sports cars and this fancy angle because that's what you've seen it in some particular magazine. But that is not design. That is fine. That is a good hobby. Design, especially car design, is when you can really sketch any shape in any direction, easily without having to think about it. Because if you look at some of these sketches or some of the other sketches, the real design thinking, when you start thinking about how a shape is formed or how do I want my design to flow, that happens when you are thinking with your hand and mind together, right? It is not as if I'm looking at a photograph, copying it out and then saying, you see, my sketch is accurate. It's not that. It's now you have reached a level where you're thinking while you're sketching. So it starts getting to this level of excellence, and that can happen by sketching every day, right? You keep doing that and this will come naturally, and then it will be a super weapon for you because then nobody else can catch up, because then you can do things very easily. And that's the best part of design. I mean, it's not just pure hard work that will guarantee you success. Design also needs that other element of skill and talent and thinking that will make you successful, right? So let me just show some work. Right, so this is, we're working on this Tata Hexa, some other design models. So this is again one of the, so it's not a sketch, it's it's a render, but you can then start playing with forms and shapes and start getting, so same vehicle, different angles, right? But in Tata ELXSI, we also did a lot of, these kind of projects. So this was what is called as a LSV, that's Light Specialist Vehicle. So this is for the Indian Army. And so not only did we design, but there was a lot of engineering that went into it. So there were lots of constraints that come in. For example, if this vehicle has to go in a desert, then it has to have a very low height because you don't want enemy to see the vehicle from far away. So how do I package everything such that, so this is a Tata Motors truck. It's a huge truck that has been now transformed into this very low level or low height vehicle, and that was done by completely changing the interior hardpoints. This is another one that we had done. So this is to carry the missiles, basically it's a multi-purpose, it's called the HSV, the Heavy Specialist Vehicle. So all of them are in production. You would see in many of the defense shows and auto shows that are there. But of course, we also like to dream. We also like to play around. So this is when, so this is one of my designers who's very creative, as you can see, and he was just, enjoying himself, if I can say that. But we do other vehicles also. I mean, this is just, whether it's off-roaders, whether it is new types of traction, buses. There's another interesting project, which was, creating an ice cream cart for Unilever or for Walls. And it's a three-wheeler, it's a motorized, it's a cycle, and all of them, having this particular shape and the way it would work. So again, it became a product design plus automotive design kind of a project. While on the right-hand side, what you see is a complete bus that we created, where we created the interiors like a house, and all LG equipment was, set up in the house so that it felt like an apartment. And the idea was that the bus will go to some of these big societies, and then you have an event where you can call, multiple people to come into the bus and try and see how LG products would look inside their own home. We are doing a lot of system design projects also, especially in automotive and transportation. So this was the Kochi Metro work that we did, where we designed in terms of styled how the metro would look, all the graphic elements, all the wayfinding elements, all the apps that you see, and we won the IF award for service design. So it was first time that somebody from India had won for service design. So we were very happy that, so this was in Germany that we got the award. I'll just see how I'm doing on time so that, yeah. A large part of my work and now in a lot of work that you all will do is what is called as automotive HMI, which is your essentially your UX or the human machine interface that vehicles will have. If any one of you all own a Jaguar Land Rover, and I hope all of you all do, all the HMI, all the systems that you touch and see are all designed by our team, right? All Tata Motors cars inside the touchscreens and the displays, all of that, all the new ones that are going to come out, all have been designed by our team. So there, it is more about, trying to sort of create this digital environment that can work in a driver kind of a requirement or space. And what I'll do is I'll show you slightly more advanced work, which is not currently available easily in any of the vehicles, but you'll see it in the next few years. So of course, what I'm showing you is something that we've not implemented, but that's where the world is going. So before that, let me just show you this work. This is slightly older, but this will give an example of, as a automotive HMI designer, if I want to create a digital interface which will enable a driver to subconsciously, unconsciously start behaving in a more eco-friendly manner. So then how do I sort of bring in those elements of graphics, elements of communication to really make that happen? So in this case, the instrument cluster is a real physical one, while the central graphics is, as you can see, it's all graphics. So it will show you your COT level, it will encourage you to change your gear correctly. Then there's something called as ADAS, which is Advanced Driver Assist Functions. So it will tell you if you're coming too close to a driver in front of you, and it's not safe. So there are many such features that we sort of added into the simple system that is there. But coming to what I was talking about, what's happening, and typically the vehicles also react to what's happening, what people want. There is so much of noise, there's so much of electrical and electronic information that is coming your way, whether it is your phones, whether it's your television, that some vehicles are portraying their brand as a place of solitude, a place of calm, a place of where you close the door and the outside sound goes away, and you are in this calm, beautiful space which is your own, which you have complete control over, and you can really relax, and then driving becomes a pleasure. Now, when the brand talks about this kind of language, how should the HMI and the UX become? So this is the instrument cluster, and there's a lot of these new instrument clusters that are coming up, which are completely reconfigurable, which means I can have anything anywhere, right? So in this case, only the required information put in a very minimalistic manner is what will be shown. I don't want a lot of other information. That information will come to me when I'm there. So if I have parked and I want to do some kind of a diagnostics, or I want to look at my records, I can always do that. So this is going to become the new language of automotive UX and HMI. We also do that for bikes, so a lot of work that's happening. And here, for example, whether it's a sport mode, whether it's normal mode, whether the modes change at what speed you are. So once you start getting into the electronics of things, you can really have a huge advantage. You can take so many things that are current, that are not normally thought of. So that, every Monday I have a different feel in my car. Every Tuesday it's going to be a different. Every morning it's going to be different. Every evening, so I can do so many things. And graphic design can be very powerful. It can be. I mean, we've had this nice test and a survey that we did, and where we showed people instrument clusters of two vehicles. One was very shiny, this with lots of electronic stuff, and the other was a very traditional with what do you call the physical instrument cluster, the needles, all of that. And we asked people which is more modern or which is more expensive, that kind of thing. And almost everybody was choosing the flashy electrical one as something, oh, this is much more expensive or modern. And that essentially was a standard Hyundai with a new HMI, while the right side one was it was a specific Ferrari. It was a specific vehicle that was not normally seen, but it had everything was very traditional. The point I'm trying to make is, after you start sitting in the car and your honeymoon period of how the car looks is over, and you're every day worrying about getting to office and doing a lot, or getting into a call, or trying to listen to music, or finding a path, what you see and your relationship with the car is the HMI, is the instrument cluster, the head unit, maybe the HUD, all of that. And that starts defining the brand, that starts defining the relationship between you and the car. In fact, what we're doing more and more now, we're creating this kind of relationship, so that, like an iPhone, tomorrow when you change your phone, you'll still go for an iPhone because you don't want to go away from iOS. Or if you're an Android person, you want to stay with Android. It doesn't matter what hardware it is. So similarly, if I'm doing something for Toyota, and if I, as a driver, if I'm changing my car tomorrow, I would still go for a Toyota because I have invested too many learnings into the way this interface works, or I'm really happy with the way it wants and it gives me comfort, and I don't really want another car because it's completely new system. So the HMI is going to be far more important going forward than how the car looks, which is a bit funny because you spend so much time designing the outside, but it's the inside that will start creating the bond and the relationship. This is something that we had done for Nissan. This was done for the Shanghai Motor Show, where we had created this entire central bridge of various touch points that could be used by all four co-passengers inside a car. Let me talk about some new work that we're doing, which is more again into the autonomous or self-driving cars that we see. And we're doing a lot of this kind of UX work. Let me see how much time. How much? So the big issue with autonomous cars is, so this is something that we've done for Mercedes, and these are all UK roads. The point is, if the car is driving on its own, and if you are sort of sitting, how do I make you feel comfortable? How do I make you feel that what a car is doing is something that is safe, that the car is in control? There are so many aspects that you can worry about, because you really do not have any communication with the car so directly. So one of our projects, or one of our jobs here, was to really start creating this language of communication between the driver and this autonomous car that is not very in your face, very loud. So in this case, since this was a sort of a near future scenario, there is a heads up display. So these 80 and 2.3 kilometers, 120, whatever you see on the screen, there are these three projectors that are put in the front of the dashboard, and they project right across the screen. So almost half of the screen from left to right is completely covered. So I can project any information on any part of the screen. So once I have that kind of tools available, then I can really start taking advantage. So I'll just run this, and hopefully you'll see the animation. You'll see the video. So it's going to go on a loop. So let you see it once, and then I'll sort of explain some of the things that we're doing here. So one important part of HMI, if you're designing a car HMI, is how do I get into being a habit for the driver? So for example, people who drive, especially a stick shift, when you want to change gears, you stop thinking about it. You just change gears. It becomes muscle memory. It starts happening. So there are many things that start happening around you, especially in a car, that should become muscle memory so that you can focus on certain important safety aspects of driving, right? So which means the HMI elements, the graphic elements that communicate to the driver, have to be consistent across all events. So in this case, what we have done, for example, you will see these red lines coming. So we have created this language that whenever there is a red, whether it's on the left because it was a car over there, or this particular left red that you saw on the road because you cannot really take a left because there was a car over there. So that red becomes a standard language. The another one that we planned and we did was that the car will first show you what it is going to do and then it will do. So in this case, you will see those blue lines really coming on the road, which is showing the road, showing that it's going to take a left, and then it will do that. Now just imagine if those blue lines on the road were not there. You're sitting in this car, and now the car suddenly starts drifting to the left. Won't you get very worried? You feel that the car is going to go and hit itself, right? So you'll panic, you'll suddenly hold the steering, you'll put a brake. But if you know, and now if you have this muscle memory that whenever this blue line comes, that means the car is going to do something different, and these lines come, you'll be relaxed. So it's such a simple graphical element or HMI element that automatically changes the behavior and makes a person calm and creates a language for the entire. So there are many such sort of elements that we have introduced that represent a complete language for all communication for various events. And that's how the driver and the car starts really being comfortable with each other. I'll show you another example. So, and this is a bit of technology involved. So let me just explain that to you. So most of these modern cars, they have inward looking cameras, and essentially there are various safety features that are added onto camera. So one of them is what is called as drowsiness detection. So if the driver feels drowsy, especially in the non-autonomous mode, then the car will sort of either beep or slow down or do something. So these are now becoming standard. Now what we did was we could also add this layer, and we talked about AI quite a lot in the early couple of sessions. So we could have the entire library of various expressions. So I can understand if a person is stressed. And when I understand a person is stressed is when another system in the car sort of takes over and tries to solve this. In this particular case, for example, I'm getting stressed as a driver because I'm sitting in this autonomous mode, and there's this huge bus that is coming right, is bearing down on me like this, right? Now, I don't know whether the car has realized that the bus is there, that the bus, if I was driving, I would sort of be careful. I would keep a close watch on it. Maybe I'll go slightly to the left, but I'm not driving, so I don't know what to do, right? Now, what the car does, or what in this case, the system that we have created, what it does, it pairs the expression and the understanding of what a person feels with the camera feed from the cameras looking outside. So it understands that there is a bus coming. That's what the stress is there. And then it will just quickly just paint a little graphic on the bus saying that, okay, don't worry, I've seen the bus. It's fine. Right? Or I'll give you much more, imagine you're in the passenger seat, and let's say your friend is driving, or somebody new is driving. Now, if you're going down this road, you look at that white van and you will tell him, Arey, please be careful here. I don't know what that white fellow is going to do. He might suddenly come onto the road, right? And you'll really be worried if now the person driving the car is not looking at the van and is looking at the watch or looking outside, right? Similarly, in this case, the car is driving, you are not driving, and then you don't know whether the car has noticed the van or not. And hence you're worried. The car detects your worry, and then it will just quickly say that, I've seen the worry, I've seen the van, it will paint it green, and I can relax, right? So there are many such elements that can be embedded into this system of HMI that we created. One more element that we did was something like this, where okay, you watch this first, then I will tell you. If you ever used voice command in cars, it gets very painful or very difficult. In a sense, just trying to say something the car doesn't understand, and it just kills the entire experience that a person has. And you have to again tell so many things and hope that a car understands. Now, what we've done over here is we have done a combination. We're calling it a sensor fusion, a combination of what the person sees, what the car sees, and hence what is spoken. So in this case, I want to overtake that car. So I don't have to tell any other words, because whenever I press to talk button, it will bring out the context. So I have to just say one or two words and it understands what I have to do. I don't have to try and really explain many things to that. I'll show you one more example. I want him to follow that car, not the car on the left, but car in front of me. So when I press, it'll give me the contextual menu that is available, and all I have to say is follow. So then my voice interaction with cars becomes very easy. So what you'll realize in this examples that I was giving, UX design is going to be very, very important to bring very modern technology into something that people can be comfortable with. And as designers, you have to be sensitive to what normal human beings want, expect, and it's going to be hard for technology to be so advanced that it can understand exactly what you're thinking, right? So these interface elements that design does becomes the bridge between the technology and what people want. So our job as designers is to really be the interface between people and the technology, because we understand people. This word empathy that you'll hear many times now is something that is very important. It will allow you to think like somebody else, so you'll be able to understand what they will understand, what they will not understand, what's difficult, what's not difficult. But like someone was saying, that design is also science and also culture, and also, so as designers, you'll also understand technology. You understand what is possible, what is not possible, so that you can be the bridge between the entire people aspect and technology aspect. Especially with new AI and all this modern technologies coming, our job is going to be more and more important to be the gap, be the bridge between people and the geeks and the high-tech technology that is there. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you very much. And I think hello.
Yeah. Hi, Narendra.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi. Wow. Cars, bikes, and automobiles, words that excite any youngster, and you had all of that in your session. So thank you so much for sharing your design journey from a student to a successful professional today. I'm sure you've given much fodder to our new students here to ponder upon and get inspired by. You're so right in talking about the importance of sketching for a design student. And thank you for sharing your insights and experience of automobile design, the details, technical, aesthetic, and the human factor that is crucial for brand identity, the future of autonomous cars, including its safety aspects. I'm sure the students would be excited and looking forward to having you on campus once things are better. So thank you so much again, Narendra, for making the time for us at UID.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.